not attempt to tackle a fire yourself. What may feel quite simple often can escalate, and you can end up getting very hurt.
Hello and welcome to the Cost of Living newscast from Kent County Council. In this episode, our journalist Elizabeth Matsangu is speaking to Leanne McMahon, Group Manager for Community Safety at Kent Fire and Rescue Service, about heating hazards and how we can heat our homes safely. For more advice and tips, click the subscribe button below, follow Kent County Council's Public Protection or Business Advisor Council on social media, or sign up to receive scam alerts or business bulletins by email. Links below.
Hi Leanne, thanks for joining us today. So firstly, could you tell us what impact is the cost of living crisis having on the safety of individuals?
The cost of living is having an impact on individuals in a number of different ways, and people are doing their best to try and save money. And our concern is around the fact of the ways that they might choose to do that. So we're really keen that people save that money safely. So when we start talking about the use of portable heaters or electric blankets and all of those things that previously perhaps have not been used, that's where the fire service would just like to provide some additional advice to make sure people do so safely.
So how can people heat their homes safely while still cutting costs?
We think people can save safely by doing a number of things. So one of our suggestions is that, and I'm sure people have tried this, but heat your body, not your home. So as much as possible, try and use extra blankets, extra jumpers, or whatever it might be to heat yourself rather than heating the entire house. That is one way that you could save and do so safely. The other thing would be set a timer. So if you want to heat the house, maybe just do so for 1 or 2 hours in the morning and perhaps in the evening rather than the heating being on all day. And you could do that with the use of a timer or something similar so that and many people have got the facility on their phones now to adjust the heating for them as well. Or perhaps just that 1 degree cooler. Turning radiators down or off in the rooms that you don't use. So don't heat a room that's not in use. Obviously, you want to keep the damp and that away. That's fine, but perhaps that's one way that you could save money. And they're the kind of three key areas of saving money and heating yourself.
So what are some of the heating hazards people need to be aware of when looking for different ways to heat their homes?
If they're going to be using things that haven't been used for a long time. So if we think, for example, about an electric heater, if that's something that's been in the loft for a couple of years and perhaps hasn't been maintained, just make sure that before you use that heater that you give it a good old dusting, that you make sure that it's in working order so that it looks as if it's in one piece. There's no cracks, there's no breaks. It's got a stand so that it's going to keep it off the floor. There's no frayed wires or anything like that. So it's just a good old check to make sure that that heater looks safe to use. And if you've got any concerns, of course, then don't use it. Also, when you are using something like an electric heater, keep it away from anything that could burn. So things like don't dry your clothes near it, curtains, any of those other flammable materials that could potentially cause an unnecessary fire. So it's those kind of accidents that we're looking to avoid. And also things like overloading electric sockets. So we do have a socket overload calculator on our website that people can use. So it's just being mindful that even those sort of 4 gangway, they only have the ability to cope with so much ampage. So it's just about not overloading them and making sure that you're doing so safely. Other types of heating hazards that people need to be aware of, things like log burners or open fires. So it might be that people haven't used them for a few years in the same way as something that you might use to heat that's up in the loft, like an electric heater. So with log burners, one of the issues that we experience is perhaps the chimney's not swept. So is it safe to have that fire in the chimney? So make sure that chimney is clean. We do go to a number of chimney fires each year. With the logs themselves, make sure where they're stored. So keep them away from the fire itself, because obviously the logs themselves can get quite warm. Again, with the fire, put a guard in front. Make sure that those ashes can't come out. The sparks can't come out and catch light to carpet or a rug that might be in front of it. And in a similar way that we would advise with heaters or something like that, do make sure that the anything that could be flammable is well away from it. So again, drying clothes, any fabrics, curtains, that kind of thing, anything that might melt. So just about using that in the safest way possible. Some of the other things that people could use could be, for example, electric blankets, and it's things like that where people don't use them all the time. So they're not used all year. They kind of come out and get used in the winter time. And it's just making sure that if you're going to use something like that, has it got a safety off switch? Will it turn off when it reaches a certain temperature? So, if you're really using something that's perhaps quite dated, is that going to be as effective now and as safe now? Do not use a hot water bottle while you're using the electric blanket. Water and electrics do not mix.
And what should someone do if an electrical item does catch fire?
If anybody experiences something that catches fire at home, if you are able to turn the electrics off safely away from the actual fire itself, then by all means do so, and then leave the room. Shut the door and leave the room. Shutting the door is important. If we can shut the fire in, it will stop it, prevent it from spreading too quickly. But call the fire service and get out. We've got do not attempt to tackle a fire yourself. What may feel quite simple often can escalate, and you can end up getting very hurt.
So what final piece of advice do you have for the residents of Kent?
When looking to save money on energy bills and things like that, it's important for people to be well and stay well, particularly babies, older people. So look after your neighbours as well. So yes, of course, we're all individually quite concerned about saving money here, but look out for those that are around you. Is there anybody vulnerable that needs additional help? And potentially, if you do need to signpost them for extra help. So we've got our Safe and Well visits that are free. This is a visit that the fire service carry out, and this looks at the fire safety in your home. And we do include additional things, for example, like a winter warmth pack that is available for people. So if at all, if anybody wants advice, then go to our website or ring our free phone number, and our Safe and they will talk through with a specialist team there about potentially having a Safe and Well visit to their home.
We can't take action without your reports. We need everyone who comes across them to speak up and report scams and criminals. Even if you've seen a scam many times before, your reporting can help us target our resources and warn and protect others. If you have information on doorstep criminals, counterfeit, fake or illegal goods, illicit tobacco, loan sharks or underage sales, contact the charity Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. You'll stay 100% anonymous, always. To report scams and get advice on consumer issues, call the Citizens Advice Consumer Helpline on 0808 223 1133. Thank you for helping us protect Kent from scammers and criminals.